Hi, welcome. Today, Juan Carlos and I will just show you some basics with the theme of scoliosis. Scoliosis is originally a Greek word, and it means turning and twisting. So many people have scoliosis, and they may not be aware of it. It could be something that is functional or structural. Functional starts and shows itself when you're a teenager, and that is a little bit more involved. Today we'll be working mostly with structural, but with both of them you need to do some of the same things. So in the structural, that comes a lot with your posture, and there are things that you can do to correct it. There's a turning, a rotation of the spine, the ribs move out. There's a picture here you can see in some bad cases. You can have an S curve, you can have a C curve, and it can cause a lot of pain and discomfort as those muscles tense and the other side compress. So the body naturally finds its own way, and it creates pathways through the nervous system to compensate. And after a while, maybe you have to start looking at what you can do to make more space, elongate, to build strength. Okay, so we'll just show you a few things today that we hope will help you. We will do quite a few of these as time goes on, so we'll start with the basics, and then we'll do a little bit more later. Before we get started, if you enjoy this video and find it helpful, please give it a like. And if you're new to my channel, subscribe, and don't forget to click the bell so that you are notified when the new videos are uploaded. Now let's get started. All right, so we'll start with just body awareness first of all. So many of you may not be aware that you have a condition like this that can be corrected, but we'll start on the floor. So Juan Carlos will come into Tadasana, and he will lay on his back. When you lay on your back, you're going to be able to feel any asymmetrical movement. So if you have some sort of movement this way, you're going to feel the back is really pressing onto the floor here, and here it's a little bit lighter. So just when you go down, just notice what you feel with your back. So he's going down. When he goes down, he rolls from the lower back up, and then he'll press his feet into the wall. Okay, so here, as he presses the feet into the wall, this will create a bit of resistance. The hips are moving down, and the thighs are moving down. All right, so he's here with his hips. He can feel the lower back. He can feel the back ribs. Maybe one is lifting. Maybe one is descending. So first of all, Juan Carlos doesn't have scoliosis, so I'm having him simulate an action so that I can show you, what it may look like in your body and where you may need to adjust. So just feel the shoulder blades on the floor. Is one shoulder blade lifted, the other shoulder blade lifted? You want to descend the body and try and make space. So let's just imagine that he had a imbalance here more. So this would be the convex side. The concave side would be shorter. So the ribs would be moving in. The ribs here are moving laterally out to the side, and the muscles are pulling the rib cage out to the side. So it shortens this side. So when you're here, you press your feet into the wall so that you can lengthen. You're wanting to lengthen, but you're also wanting to move toward the center. So you're creating the natural extension that you need to alleviate some of the tension that you may have with your back and your hips. Okay? So now I'm going to have him take a block between the legs. You can take it right between the ankles. There. So we really want to have the legs be moving towards one another, toward the center line, to stabilize the lower back, to stabilize the hips, so that from that fixed position, feet at the wall, and that stabilized action in the leg, he can lengthen the arms, and thus lengthen the trunk. So when he's lengthening the trunk, he'll be using his arms. So just buckling this strap. It's a new strap. I may not get it buckled. Okay. So have it tight. There. So the legs are firm. The legs are moving toward the center. The feet are pressing into the wall. And here, the block between the ankles keeps the feet in an upright position. So they're balanced as well. So I'm going to take this, just feel what that feels like. Press, lengthen, bring the feet down, and lengthen through both sides. Try and create some balance where we feel imbalance. So this is bringing you some awareness. Okay, so now I'm going to take this block away. I'll take this block away, but keep your feet in that manner. Bring the feet together. And we'll use it for the arms. So he's lengthening the arms up, and he's connecting the arms in the shoulder socket. So you feel that work of the shoulders moving down. And when you keep the arms in this position, and you bring the arms over the head, you can lengthen through both sides of the trunk. So extending, lengthening. Good. Then whatever the body's going to do, it probably will naturally do here. So just see where you need to adjust. This was his side that was popping out. This was his short side. So he needs to lengthen a little bit more on that side to get that extension. Good. And then you can bring your arms up and take the block between the hands. So this will fix the arms so that they're in line with the shoulders. And with that fixed position, you can move down into the shoulders a little bit more. So as you exhale, keep the front ribs down. Notice what's happening in your back. Breathe into that convex side. Lengthen through that outer side. So you have to discover which side for you is more imbalanced. And whichever the convex side, which is moving out, start to bring it in, and the other side lengthen. So you have a lot of muscles along here and a lot of nerve endings that get compressed. So this will feel good to bring that extension and to bring a little bit of awareness to your muscles, your nervous system, so that you can recreate that action. Thighs are moving down, feet are pressing into the wall, and with that extension, feel the tailbone and the hips moving toward the wall. Extend the arms, lengthen. Good, and then bring the arms up, and I'll take the block, and then we'll take the block out, and you can take the strap off. Good. All right, so now let's come into forward Virasana. You can bring your feet to the wall. Or actually, turn around the other direction, and you can bring your hands to the wall. See if you can maybe bring the forearms here and the hands up on the wall so you can press the hands. Knees are wide, draw your hips back. No, let's just take your hands this way.
Okay.
So support the forearms. And walk yourself back so that the hips are moving back and you can lengthen the arms completely. So here the arms are in line with the shoulders. Your arms are getting some support. You press your hands into the wall, and from that, start to open out through the outer arms, lengthen, and just bringing that awareness again to the back body. And see where are you needing to extend a little bit more. So lengthening both sides, bringing that concave side in toward the center, opening the other side. Use your hips to draw back. So there's a strong action of the hips moving back. Often the scoliosis can be up in the upper back, but sometimes it can start from the lower back. Bring the back ribs in, slide the front ribs forward, and breathe. How's that feeling? Very good. So not only is the back lengthening, side trunk lengthening, but the front body is also lengthening. So getting that circumferential extension, that symmetry. And then release your hands. Good. Why don't you turn around and face this direction? Come back a little bit. I want you to go to the side. Do that to the side, Parjva. But I guess you won't have the hands. So bring your arms this way and then bring your arms that way. That way. Yeah. I thought you would be on the mat, but you're not. Yeah. Here. Yeah. So take your hands there and come to the side. So here, if this were his convex side, it would really be moving outward, okay? So here, he's got to learn to extend through that arm and move this in, and then extend and lengthen through the side. So work with the side that is more convex, bring it in toward the center line, toward the spine, and the other side start to lengthen. So not dropping the shoulder, but just moving the ribs in. Okay. So staying on that side for a few breaths, and then you'll move to the other side. Hips are moving back. Feet are heavy. Shins are down. If your front ankle is not going onto the floor, you can take a blanket and bring the blanket underneath the ankles as well. If your hips don't go all the way back to your heels, you can use a bolster here between the hips and the heels. So you want to have contact. He's able to bring his hips all the way back, but if you weren't able to, you could either have a rolled blanket or a bolster and bring that. So there's some area that you can extend and lengthen from. So this is moving back. The hips are not up in the air, but you're extending and lengthening forward. And then again, you can see, even if he doesn't have convex side here, most people are uneven. So you've got to bring this lower rib cage in and extend through the other side. Oftentimes people come into this pose, whether scoliosis or not, they're like this popping up. So moving and lengthening forward, moving your front ribs forward. Good. And lengthening through that side. Dropping your hips back. Using your hips as a fulcrum to extend away from, creating that space. You're creating strength, but you're also creating space and awareness more than anything as you begin your journey in discovering how you can best help yourself when there's some imbalance. Okay, and then come back to the center. One more time, go forward. So in this one, if you needed to, and you wanted to stay a little bit longer, you could always have the bolster right between the arms, have the forehead there, and just stay for longer. The longer you stay, the more your muscles will be able to extend and lengthen. The more the nervous system will begin to relax. You have a lot of tension on one side or the other, so just pay attention to that and use the breath. The breath is really the most important thing here, that you are using the breath, you're bringing that awareness and creating that space for yourself and releasing the tension. So it's not that you can just do it automatically. It will take time, it will take patience, and it will take you practicing. So just be patient and stay for a while. All right, and then you can come up. Sit back on your heels and then come into Parvottanasana. And he's reaching up. So he's creating that extension again. And you know where your imbalance is. So even sitting here, if this side was moving out, being aware of that, moving it in, and lengthening up through the other side, where that concave side is. Good. And then bring your hands down, change the cross on your fingers, on the hands, and lift up. So oftentimes, because there can be a lateral shift, one side may be coming forward. There could be a rotation. So aware of that and knowing what's happening in your body, trying to bring that forward rib, and when the rib goes forward, the shoulder goes forward. So it affects the whole spinal column and all the ribs. So the ribs usually are moving with the spinal column, but when you have scoliosis, the ribs move away. They move out to the side. So with that muscular action and awareness coming toward the center, you can start to make those adjustments. Okay, and then bring the hands down. Good. All right, let's stand up, and you can use the wall also to feel any kind of imbalance. All right, so I'll have you stand at the wall, and so you can feel in a standing position. Gravity is different. Things will feel different. So we'll start again with the block between the ankles, and then you can bring one block between the legs. Now these are heavy blocks, so he's got to really use his legs to move in. So he's holding the block, which brings that firmness to the leg. So start with your feet, so your feet are spreading. You're on the front of the foot and the back of the foot. And here with the block, you can feel how the natural tendency is for the inner foot to fall down. So move the inner heels away without lifting the ball of the big toe. So stretch the toes out. You can lift the toes up, bring some action to the legs, firmness to the legs, up through the thighs. Hips are gripping that block and rolling that block back toward the wall, so there's a rotation of the thigh back. Just observe your tailbone and your buttocks. Tailbone is moving down and forward, and then feel the back at the wall. So here it may feel different than when you were on the floor, but maybe not. So just try and bring some that, let's say your convex side was over here, that convex side in toward the center and lengthen. And then from there, you can bring the arm, turn the shoulders. When you turn the shoulders, feel the shoulder blades moving down and extend through the arms, and then bring the arms up. So just pausing there to see. If your shoulders are tight, then you can bring your arms a little bit wider apart until you feel that you can get that rotation. So the outer arm is moving in. So it's not this way, but there's dropping the shoulder and turning the outer arm, extend up. Good. And then bring the hands down, just so you have a little bit more of sensory contact with something you can press against. This, when he's pressing against that, will help his back widen, and it will also help to connect with the arms and the shoulders. So these are appendages, the organs of actions, the legs and the arms. We want them to connect into the pelvis. We want them to connect into the upper body, so the spinal column can get the right information to move symmetrically. Balance. Lift the arms up, pressing the feet down, hugging that block. Good. So on the floor, we were descending the hips, using the floor as resistance, lifting up through the side trunk and reaching up. Press that block. And now if you know one side is shorter than the other, that's the side that you need to lengthen up a little bit more. Bring that other side in toward the center. If the front rib is moving forward, try and move that front rib back a bit. And just be there. Be there and feel what you can feel. Notice, observe. So it's a discovery for you to discover how you feel those imbalances in your body and what you do when you move a certain way. So you're always moving toward that center, trying to create that extension and release any tension. All right, bring the arms down. And I'll take the block. And then you can take that block out. We won't use that block now. So we'll still use the wall, You can use the wall and you can go into Vrikshasana, okay? So let's do Vrikshasana toward the wall. All right. No, facing the wall. Facing the wall. Maybe not. Maybe just let's bring the knee up on the wall. So you can fix the knee. So he's coming into Vrikshasana, so it's a standing, balancing pose. And he's turning the leg to the side. The knee is at the wall. So from here, that femur bone is moving into the hip socket. Shoulders are moving down. So the thigh moves back. The leg is stand tall on that leg, so you're lifting up through this hip and opening through this front groin. So the knee is moving back a little bit while this buttocks moves forward. So what happens is you start to turn this way, so turning that back waist, turning the back ribs. And of course, if there's one side that's convex, let's bring the arms up over the head. And we'll use a strap here. He can hold on to the strap, and you pull the strap apart. So again, creating that width across the back and getting that lift, pressing into the standing foot, lift up through the hip, and reach up. Good, breathe. Use your breath, fully extending. Use your breath to release any tension. Keep your chin parallel to the floor, not throwing your head down. All right, and then bring the arms down. And let's do the other side. We're going to do the other side. Bend your knee, press the foot on the inner thigh. Keep this hip lifted. So this is your standing leg, this is your balancing leg. You want to make sure this is lifted. And this knee is connecting into the hip joint from the knee to the hip, and this connecting from the outer muscles of the outer hip, both moving in. Tailbone moving down, hips descending, and with that action, you're going to lift up without lifting the shoulders. Okay, so keep the shoulders moving down. Keep the front chest lifting, sternum bone lifting. As you move the hips down, lengthen through the side trunk. And now bring your hands out in front of you. Extend out. You can take the strap, bring the strap in the hands, and lift up. Try and pull that strap apart so you bring more width across the upper back, lifting up as you press down into the foot and press into that knee at the wall. Breathe. Observe where you feel any tension, where you feel any asymmetry. Try and bring some relief to that by extending up through one side, bringing the other side in toward the spine. And then exhale, bring your arms down, and then release the leg. Okay, we'll sit on the chair, Utkatasana. So again, you're sitting on the chair, so your hips are stable and fixed. Yeah. And from that area, you're going to bring your hands first to the side of the trunk and get that opening through the chest. So lift the chest, lengthen through both sides. You're using your hands, pressing down to get that extension. All right? So the legs are descending, the legs are firm, the legs are actively moving towards one another. You could even use the block again between the legs. So you want to keep that pelvis actively stable, all right? And then lifting the chest, lifting from the back, and now bring your arms up and reach up with the arms. So sitting down, and you're getting a little bit of curve for the upper back, you're getting lower back sacrum moving in and reaching up through the arms, dropping the shoulders. You can use that strap again. So I'll take the strap and pull the strap apart. So with that, you get the correct rotation of the arms, the shoulders, connecting the arms into the shoulders, lift up. All right, let's take the block away. and come to a standing position. All right, so he's going to bend his knees. He's going to drop his hips down. Just touching the chair so you can see the back is moving forward. You want to keep the arms moving back as much as possible. Good, so it's a strong pose. We're using the chair so you have the balance. You can come up, come down a couple times. We're using that strap to press, pull, and lengthen. Okay, and then come up. So you're feeling a little bit more extended and lengthened. Did you find any scoliosis in your body?
A little bit, the left side is collapsed.
Yeah. Okay, so we all have a bit of it, and it happens, with the different postures that we take, and quite often it can happen slowly, and we don't even realize it. So it's good to do a practice where you're just starting to observe that spinal condition and the left side and the right side. Okay, so now you're going to go into Parvottanasana, and you'll take one arm long. So step your foot forward. Yeah, both arms long. Maybe yeah, both arms long. So you're coming into this. The left foot is forward, the right foot back, pressing the heel. And now, again, you want to keep that extension. So now the hips are in space. You can feel proprioception here, where your hips are. Maybe one is moving out to the left, one to the right. So just taking that idea of sitting on the chair, how the hips were level, hips were moving back, and then extend. And use the arms to extend on the chair. Maybe this side is moving out, so moving that in, lengthening the other side. So find out where you need to make some more space, create more length, and breathe into it. So it's just paying attention to your breath. Feel where you're not breathing, feel where your breath is catching, and use the breath to extend and to let go. So we oftentimes are holding when there's some tension. So breathe into it, and over time you'll be able to release it. Okay, coming up. And then other leg.
Other side.
So I always say it's good you're not an octopus, or you'd be doing it 8 times. All right, so he's going to adjust his hips back. So taking the right stride so he can do that, and then extend the arms. Do you want to bring the chair a little bit further forward? So just adjust your props how you are best going to be served by using the arms on the chair. And now, when he brings this leg forward, you can see here, he's getting a little tightness and bunching here. So here, moving that hip back. So using the strength of the legs, using the awareness, extend that back. So this has gotten to be a little bit better. So it's through that awareness, that attention, and that perspective that you have from starting to pay attention to what's happening to the body, that you can then make some adjustments. So when you have those tightnesses in your body, this feels really good. It might not feel great the first time, but if you do it more and more, it will start to help you feel more freedom. Okay. And then come forward. All right. So I'm going to have you do Utthita Trikonasana the same way, with one arm on the chair.
With the chair.
Yeah.
This side?
Yeah. So he's coming into Utthita Trikonasana. The legs are now parallel to one another. He's going to turn that back heel and rotate the front leg toward the chair. Yeah. Okay. So now we're bringing a lateral. Before we were going forward, now we're going laterally. All right, so he'll take this left arm up and extend. Use that extension to already get that space here, and then as he comes forward, he'll bend here from the hip socket and extend. So I'm just going to bring his arm out to the side, and he can take his hand on the chair. All right, I'll stand on the chair if you were doing this at home and you had a wall here, you could bring your chair either onto a mat or the wall so that you can extend and lengthen. So now if his convex side was the one where his hand is, he would be moving that in, and he would be extending through that concave side. Good. Tailbone in, front buttock forward. Rotate the back inner thigh and turn the pelvis. All right, and then inhale, come up, turn the feet. So sometimes you feel that you're doing too much in your knees. If so, then maybe you have to take a little bit shorter stride. He's had a knee operation here, so everyone has a little bit different. Why don't you turn this way and you can go the other side? Yeah. Everyone has a little bit different condition, so be mindful of whatever injuries you've occurred over your lifetime. And that's why in Iyengar Yoga we have props. We have different ways for you to do things, no matter what's going on with you. Whether you need to heal, you need to just re-energize, invigorate, recuperate. Good. And so rolling that shoulder back, but fixing the shoulder blade in, turning the chest. Now, if this were his concave side, it would be moving in like this, and this would be falling toward the floor. So now he's got to bring that bottom one up and lengthen here. Now extend your arm up. Extend your arm. That's it. So bringing this in, lengthening here. You can even take your arm over if you want to get a little bit extra length there. Extend. So being kind of a guide for your own body, navigate it and see what's needed. Now turn the chest. Good. And then inhale, come up. Press your feet. Turn your feet parallel, and then walk your feet together. Good. How'd that feel?
Great. Balance.
Okay. So now,
Ready.
something that's really good to do is twisting. Okay? So let's do Bharadvajasana in the chair.
Facing?
Facing this way?
Towards there?
Yep, that's fine. Anytime. All right, when you sit in the chair for Bharadvajasana, you're going to turn this direction, right? And you want to make sure that you have your hips on the chair, but not where you're falling back. So be on the chair so you're on your sitting bones, all right? Your lower back is moving in, your thighs are parallel. And you can also take this block and hold the block so that, again, we want to keep the pelvis level. We want to keep the pelvis fixed so that you can lengthen up. In all twisting, you want to first inhale and lengthen up so you create the space. And, especially when you have scoliosis, one side of the rib cage is shorter or maybe projecting forward. So use the opportunity in the chair to first lengthen, okay? Lift the chest, drop the shoulders, roll the shoulders back. So the back's not rounding, the back is lifting up, and now he'll turn on the chair. Before he turns too much, again, inhale, lengthen up, exhale, turning. So now we've established that this side was his convex side, so he's bringing that in. And this was his short side, so he's lengthening here without lifting his shoulders. So the tendency is to lift your shoulder and then you think that's going to lift up. But no, so you want to keep the shoulder moving down. And with that fixed action of the shoulders, lengthen up and then exhale, turn. So using the breath on your exhalation, turn. The back body turning in to the side, turning the chest, keeping the legs firm so you have that kind of fulcrum for yourself. The abdomen is turning, everything's turning, and it's bringing circulation and blood flow, oxygen into the spine. Now drop the shoulder. Just watch that the back shoulder doesn't lift up. You can use the chair rail with your hands. One is to press and one is to pull. So this shoulder is closer, so you can use this to press with that turning action and this to pull. So you're pulling this side around, but not pulling and forcing, but use the breath. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, turn. Okay, and then release.
Yeah, I was using too much force. It's just like,
Yeah, when you're really forcing it, you're not doing yourself any good. So working more on the length, working on more of the strength, and releasing so that your shoulders aren't engaged and your neck is not getting short. All right? So turning to the other side.
I'll just put it here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So for those of you that are working in an office or whether you're at home with these conditions of COVID, just everyone has a chair at home. Take time to stand up and then sit in the chair properly, not like you'd be sitting in a big cushioned chair, but sit where you can feel the sitting bones, and from there, using the hands on the chair, lift up without lifting your shoulders, drop your shoulders, and then exhale, begin to turn. So you're widening through the back. You're widening like we did when we were holding onto the strap and pulling. You're creating space across the upper back. You're creating space across the upper chest. Using the breath, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, turn. And then release. Okay. All right, so twistings are nice. They are invigorating, but they're also relaxing too. So they relax the mind, but they also bring energy to the body, and they get you into the right position with your shoulders and your upper back and your spinal column. But again, remember the legs are fixed. We use the block. You can use the block also between the knees, then holding that block.
It's more dangerous.
Yeah, it's more dangerous with a wooden block, for sure. If you had a foam block, you don't have to worry about it too much. Yeah. But what he's doing here when he's holding the block, if he takes the block away, the tendency is to turn like this, and this leg comes forward. Yeah. So you're just moving here from the hips. So that's not the best way to do it. So you want to keep this, if anything, you want to lengthen this leg, so that this one draws back. So we hold the block to just bring a little more stability to the hips, which you need for the lower back, the lumbar. Okay, so now we're going to take a bolster, and you're going to go down on the floor. Yep. Favorite part, going to the... All right. So I think everyone will probably feel the same way. Yeah. So you're going to lay down and bring your side ribs right on that bolster. So having the feet parallel. You could do this at a wall as well. The bolster's a little bit too high. Can you come up a bit more?
I want to be like mine.
Yeah. Right, and then bring the arm, straighten the arm. Yeah. So when he's in this position, he can come with the elbow bent to support himself. He looks like the sleeping Buddha in Thailand. Now you can see his hip. His hip is being thrown back. He wants to have the tailbone forward, buttocks forward, legs active so that they're actually keeping him in a straight line all the way up. Okay? So now, if this lower side was the side that was the convex side, he can feel that really pressing into the bolster. So here, this is the short, so by automatically moving it toward the center, it's going to make a little bit more space in his rib cage. So maybe take the arm over, extend, or you can use the hand on the bolster or the hand on the floor. Wherever you can feel that you can get a little bit of space there. You can even have a chair. You can hold the leg of the chair. Can you extend your arm down? Is it too uncomfortable for the head? It's a little... Yeah, so he's working on balance right in the center. He's working on lengthening.
And balancing.
Yeah, and so he's balancing with the outer edges of the feet. As the tailbone moves in, the thighs move back. You can bring this hand onto your hip and extend. Okay, he's dropping back. Okay, so this will give you more stability. If you can bring the arm back a little bit. Shoulder blades in. But mainly you're working on this area here to bring that awareness and a little bit of release of tension. Okay, and then let's do the other side. Extend through the feet, bring the outer edges of the feet in, tailbone in. So you're balancing on the whole side of the body, but you're balancing on the bolster, which is a nice cushiony bolster, so it feels good. But you will feel wherever your imbalance is.
Total different feeling.
You can feel different. On one side will feel different than another side. So you have to approach all of these poses with working on one side and doing what needs to be done on that side, and then working on the other side differently. So your body has adjusted and it's created its own pathways to be able to hold yourself up, your skeleton up. And so the nerves are all different. Everything feels different. Okay, but this is a really nice one to feel that side rib cage and to adjust it. Okay, ready? I think you'd like to stay in that forever. All right, well now we'll go into Supta Swastikasana, okay? So he's going to go over the bolster. And when he goes over the bolster, he wants to make sure that he is going to have it near his lower back, have a little bit of space, and when he comes down, he's rolling from the lower back, then to the middle back, and then to the upper back. So you want to be right in the center of that bolster, so that both sides of the spine are equally spreading and supported. Okay, so this is easy cross-leg position. The hips are moving away, so the tailbone is moving down, and your back is supported. So again, you can feel the back on that bolster. You can see what's happening. You can make adjustments. You can breathe into it. So important here that you lay here and you are breathing into the back ribs, the side ribs, the front ribs, and just, again, if you feel a little bit different at the end of your practice versus the beginning of your practice. It's a quiet pose, this one, so just you can take your time in this and relax. And then you can change the cross on your legs. So with your arms moving out to the side, you're creating that space in the arms and the shoulders, but don't move them out too far. So you can keep the shoulders descending down. Front armpit chest is lifting, back armpit and tops of the shoulders are descending down. So you're able to have the chest lifted and supported. And then just be aware of your front ribs, that they're not popping up toward the ceiling too much. So do that again. So bring your front ribs way up. So you can feel that in your back. You can feel your back away from the bolster. So you want to have the whole spine on the bolster evenly. So start to bring the ribs down toward the floor and towards each other. When you're over the bolster, when you're lying down at any time, you want to have the back of the head lengthening so the neck is released. So sometimes if you have tight shoulders, your shoulders are going to be up and your head will be thrown back. So the main thing is first make the adjustment. See if you can rotate the shoulders, get the shoulders to move under, and then lengthen the head. If still the chin is popping up, then you can take a little bit of a blanket, a little bit of support. So you want to bring some relaxation to the neck and the throat so there's not tension in the throat and the tongue. Relax the tongue, let the eyes relax, and forehead spread. Relax the cheekbones, relax the inner mouth. Okay, so you can just be here, you can feel how that feels, and experience the space in the body, release of any tension, and we'll leave you now, and you can practice. Thank you. See you soon.